Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Great. We'll go ahead and get started with questions, and Josh Reed will have the first question.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh, we're having trouble hearing you, so we'll come back to you.
You got me? Sorry about that. You got me?
Yeah, we got
Hey,
you
Josh.
now.
Sorry, Brian. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thanks for taking a couple minutes here.
You got it.
Matt Breida hasn't gotten a ton of chances this year, but when he has, he's produced. And I know that you going back to training camp, you've said, look, when we give the running backs the ball, they've got to find a way to make plays, period. They've got to gain yards. What have you seen from Matt Breida, and has he made a case to kind of expand his role?
Yeah, he's been a resilient player for us. You know, being inactive is a hard thing for most everybody because of how competitive you are, but he's kept a good attitude. He's stayed in his book. He's understood the game plan, and these last couple of weeks he's had an opportunity, and I think he's made the most of them.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too, Josh.
Coach Daboll, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing today?
Hey, Mook. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. I'm good. How about yourself?
Good.
Now, did the 14-0 deficit early on, did that affect your game planning offensively early in the game, Coach?
No, I mean, we had 3 series in the first half. So 2 of them, I think it was a 10-play drive, which, we shot ourselves in the foot there, 3rd and 3, down in the scoring lane, and went backwards to a 3rd and 18 where we turned the ball over. The second one, we went down and scored, and then we got the ball. I think it was 24-7 on our 3rd drive, which was a 2-minute drive. So no, we came out at half, threw the ball a couple times, had an opportunity to come down with a couple, and ran the ball the next series, got it down to a 3rd and 5. Didn't connect on that 3rd and 5. So 7 possessions, Mook. 2 end up in interceptions. 2 end up in field goal opportunities. 1 punt, and 2 touchdowns. Just when you turn a football over, you prevent yourself from having an opportunity to put points on the board because you're taking away possessions and giving them possessions. So that's the number one thing we need to fix.
Absolutely. And, you can't count for things that's self-inflicted. And, it kind of like, demoralize your run game because you're forced to pass. And with that being said, teams are basically taking away your primaries in that regard through zone coverage. So what's the creative alternative when that happens, Coach?
Yeah, I think Dawson was our leading target player. So you have different ways to do it. Depends on what kind of zone coverage you're getting. I think Dawson had 10 targets. The backs had 8 or 9. It depends if it's 2 high zone coverage, 1 high zone coverage. Are they rolling to a particular guy? So again, there's always, you're always looking at that throughout the game. You're looking at it throughout the week. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, but can teams live and die with Knox and your running back having predominantly targets and not per se of a Sanders, Beasley, or Diggs?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. I've been, part of a lot of different ways to win games. Let's start with cleaning up the turnovers, and then that's the number one thing we got to do.
Absolutely, Coach. Good luck this Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Same to you, Mook.
Hey, Brian, Mike Catalana.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good. You guys have been a dominant pass team last year, still one of the top passing teams, and people talk now about run the ball. Can you run the ball more? How difficult of a change is that based on personnel, based on what you've been so good at, to sort of shift into that mindset and try to have that success?
Yeah, we work on, I'd say, both areas of our game each week. We'd like to be the top at both of those things. Look, again, how the flow of the game's going, what you think you need for that particular week. We're always trying to focus on the things we need to do for that week, and whether it is run or pass. But we can be better at, we need to be better at both of them. I think, again, been 9 turnovers in 3 games. 9 different times you take away possessions to score the football. We got to do a good job. It's almost double what we had in the first 7 games. So we got, it's something that we constantly work on, whether you're running it or throwing it. Our job is to possess the ball. And if we're not, scoring touchdowns, end every drive with a kick.
And when you talk about that, the run game, it feels like around the league, things have shifted. I mean, it's the Ravens and the Titans, man, and maybe the Browns. Now it seems like, we're seeing teams with 40, 50 carries in a game. Do you feel that? Do you feel there's been sort of shift around the league? Maybe it's based on somewhat what defenses are trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think each game is different. When you're, when you're up a good amount of points and you're possessing the ball and you're successful at it, there's reason to keep doing it. Again, I think there's, do you want to be 50-50? I don't know. I've never really, balance is, to me, doing what you need to do to try to win the game. And you like to be good at everything you do. You like to be, the best in third down, red zone, points, rushing, passing, wins. And if you're not that, you're always striving to be as good as you can be.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brian, Adam Benini. Thanks for
Hey,
taking the time today on a short
it.
week. Is Josh himself, do you think? Like,
Yeah.
I know you have some issues up front in terms of the line, some of the pressures he might be under. Teams are taking away certain things. Is he adapting to that?
Yeah.
How would you gauge his adaptation to that in game?
Josh is an excellent quarterback. You see a lot of different things, Adam. Each game is a little bit different, whether it's situation, coverage. I'm glad he's our quarterback. I have a lot of confidence, a lot of faith, a lot of trust in him. We had a couple turnovers there, both on third and long. And sometimes, you think you can make one and make a throw. And again, I want him to have that mentality too, because the minute you start getting gun shy, you just, I want him to play quarterback. I want him to be aggressive, and turnovers unfortunately happen. We got to do a good job of trying to prevent them happening, particularly when they're in the longer situations on 3rd and 18 and a 3rd and 8 with a little bit of pressure there. We obviously can do a better job with that.
All right, Brian, thank you. Appreciate that.
You got it.
Hey, Brian, it's Jay. How you doing?
Hey, Jay, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Hey, listen, I know you're not probably real eager to take a walk down memory lane right now, but you guys played on Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. Josh had, pretty strong game. Is there anything about that experience that you kind of look back on maybe when you're preparing for this week, given that it's, the national stage and, kids probably grew up dreaming of playing on Thanksgiving and you guys handled it pretty well. So is there anything that you can kind of look back on to take away for this week?
No, I appreciate the question. That's until you just mentioned it now. You just really, honestly, you're trying to, you had a tough game yesterday. You're trying to get in last night. You're doing a lot of things. Trying to get ready for a walkthrough today and have a lot of work left that needs to be done. Our focus is on just trying to do the things we can do a little bit better. Which again, to me, starts with ball security.
Yeah. And then with Josh and Stefan, at least publicly, Josh has he's kind of bounced back and forth on his answers. He said that, frequently that the right throw is the open throw. And we know that. But he's also hinted at kind of knowing that he wants to get Stefan involved. And sometimes that means, not for lack of a better word, but forcing it to him or trying to get him involved, actively trying as much as possible. I think I probably know your answer, but where is that balance in terms of, trying to get him involved versus taking what the defense is giving you, making the right open throw?
Yeah. I mean, it's all our jobs. Again, we don't want to force things. Again, you have one pass play called a screen that where the ball's going to, and based on rotation and coverage and how they're playing, we got our job is to go out there and throw it to the right guys. We move Steph around, I'd say quite a bit at different spots. we'll always continue to, to try to put them in different spots so you can't key on them. But again, I think Josh, it depends on coverage too, Jay. If it's post high defense and there's two corners and he's throw it to step as much as you want. But I'd say he does a good job of balancing, putting it to the right guy and reading the coverage out and throwing it to the right guys.
Right on. Thanks, Brian. Happy Thanksgiving.
You good? You too.
Hey, Brian, how are you today? Thanks for
Hey,
doing
Sal. Yep,
Hey,
you got it.
I know you touched a little bit on it, but just kind of take us through what it's like for you guys to turn the page so quickly on a week like this. I mean, you want to review everything, but you got to put your game plan. And I know you have advanced scouts too, I would imagine, that kind of at least get you up to speed on that. How does all that work?
Yeah, a lot of guys doing a lot of work. But that's the nature of the business. Thursday night games are pretty common now. We've played in a fair amount of coaching, a fair amount of them. You grade and do all the stuff last night for the game you just played. Stay on top of that, look at the corrections, and you're on to the next opponent fairly quickly. And, coaches come in early and, you work hard on trying to put together a plan. And again, you have a walkthrough. So we had to script a bunch of walkthrough plays and draw the cards for that. And now as soon as we get done with this, we'll be up and, on the red zone and third down. And, tomorrow's like a Friday practice basically. And then you're getting ready to go.
You've been coaching this league long enough to know how these Thursday games have kind of become a big deal, and they've doing more of them. And what have you learned since that kind of started and becoming a Thursday game and people questioning and how you have to go about coaching and what to do, what not to do? What have you learned over the years?
Guys got to get their rest, but you have to be really dialed in mentally in terms of the meetings, and how you structure walkthrough is important. Really, how you do everything in these next couple of days. To make sure that they're as healthy and prepared as they can be. It's really, scheduling and how you install stuff, and don't put too much in and let them play fast. You just got a short window to prepare for the team you're playing against. And I think all those things add up.
All right. I know we'll see you Thursday, but happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Okay. You too.
Hey, Brian, this is Jackson Roberts with NBC over in Rochester. I don't think we've met, but
Hey, Jackson, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. Hope you are as well. Some of the players in the post-game presser yesterday had alluded to how, having a game with such short rest on the heels of a loss like this can actually be helpful instead of letting it sit for maybe a few extra days, like you normally would with a game just in a regular schedule cycle. Do you feel the same way about that?
I think, look, each day, the day after each game, whether you win or lose, you take a look at the things you did well. You take a look at the things that you didn't do so well. You make corrections. You basically move on to the next team at about, right about now. You just push it up a little bit a few hours earlier, and you're moved on to the next week. It's what you have to do in this league is, look at the things that you did well, look at the things you didn't do well, and move on. There's another game here right around the corner.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too.
A little bit of everything.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hi, Matt. Good.
Good. Obviously been in this league a long time. Things go bad in this league. Fans start pointing fingers, wanting answers. One person in particular, we don't get a chance to really talk to him, or, everybody I've talked to about Bobby Johnson has great things to say in the room, on the offensive line. From your perspective, how much of the struggles that have gone on up front would you attribute to Bobby, and how is he kind of answering the call to kind of make adjustments?
Yeah, Bobby's an outstanding coach. I'd say he's very consistent. He's resilient. He's got a lot of confidence and trust in his players. He works extremely hard. I'd say whether it be technique, game plan, just like all the coaches. That's the National Football League. I've said it every week. Does losing suck? Yeah, it sucks. We put a lot of time and effort, energy into it. There's always things that everyone can do better. But I have a lot of confidence in Bobby. along with all the rest of the coaches and the players. It's tough to be resilient. If it was easy, everybody would be resilient. It's tough to be resilient. So you just keep grinding and get ready for the next week. Can't let one thing fester too long. You got to be focused on the next thing. Acknowledge the things that didn't go well and be a pro. And that's what Bobby does.
You were really complimentary of the way Cody Ford handled, taking a seat for a little while, came back, struggled a little bit. Seemed like he was a lot better yesterday. How did you see him play on film? And how much did you like to see the way that not only he responded off the field, but the way that he's responded on the field?
Yeah, I'd say similar to what we just talked about. Resilient young man. I'd say been through a lot, particularly in a short career. Has good focus, attention to detail, and appreciate him controlling the things he can control, which is his effort, his intensity, his focus, his studying of the game plan, and then ultimately his performance out on the field, which he gives 100% every time he's out there.
Thanks, Brian.
You got it.
Yes, good afternoon, Coach George.
Hey, George.
How you doing?
Good, George.
Great.
How are you?
Pretty good. And
Good.
two quick questions for you. One,
Sure.
when I was in the Colts locker room after the game, the safety, George Odom, mentioned that they were disguising their coverage until 12 seconds was left on the 25-second clock, and that then they would go into their actual defense. Now, I'm wondering, is that enough time for Josh or really most younger quarterbacks to decipher what the defense is in?
Yeah, I'd say most defenses in this league disguise quite often. So, there's different ways to deal with that. And at the end of the day, they played a lot of split safety coverage, however you want to slice it. And, they dropped two guys deep. They played real soft, and they did a good job. Give them credit. But we've played a lot of games. Josh has played in a lot of games. Each defense is different each week, but there's certainly a lot of disguise in this league, no question.
So would you say in that type of situation, is that almost like you have to take what the defenses give you until something opens up? Is that?
Yeah, I think that applies to any coverage, whether it's a split safety, post safety, man to man. Our job is to put it where it needs to go at the end of the day. And he did that. He did that quite a bit. And we had some ones that that got away from us and turned the football over. But like I've said this from day one. I have all the confidence in the world in Josh.
All right. Thank you very much, and good luck on Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, George. You too.
Hey, Daves, it's John. I know you have confidence in all of your guys, especially even on the line. But they have different skill sets, even if some guys play the same position. How does a lot of the changes that have been forced upon for injuries and whatnot, or even the uncertainty of not knowing who could potentially be there days from now, affect how you can game plan and how this offense can function?
Yeah, I mean, look, they have different skill sets in terms of whether it's quickness or explosive power or bend or anything like that. But most of the time, John, when you're moving linemen in and out, those guys have really, they've worked on their craft since they've been here. It's not like this guy does this a little bit better, so we're going to do this. I mean, it's all five working together. Now the combination of those five, do we change up certain things? Yeah. But at the end of the day, all those guys are capable of, whether it's double teaming or running outside zone or those guys work on that every day. They have for the last 3 months.
And we saw Daboll excel at right tackle a year ago. Then he got kicked inside this year. Now he's back out there. How have you seen him handle going from one to the other and
Sure.
even the seeming to excel at right tackle and then getting moved inside, and how his skill sets maybe work at each of those spots?
Yeah, he's been a pro. Not easy to do all the time because it's playing a perimeter receiver and then get moved inside. There's a lot of stuff going inside versus most of the time you're one-on-one outsider, you got a safety rolled over the top of you. Similar to, I'm not saying the skill set's the same, but similar to playing outside at tackle and then inside the guard. Outside of tackle, you're dealing with usually a defensive end. Maybe there's a couple other things that happen outside, whether it be a safety or a nickel pressure or something like that. But inside, there's it's moving fairly quick with different shades, threes or inside shades. Another game, and there's stunting and things are happening. There's twists and there's extra backers inside. I'd say it's not easy to do, but he's done a good job, and he's smart. He's done a good job for us in that regard.
Do you feel the decision to push him on the outside was as much about him, or maybe Tommy's not ready, or the other options behind him?
Yeah, no, we'll do what we think is right for that game. And him playing outside, again, you said that he played it all last year. We feel that is right.
Thanks, Daves.
You got it.
That's all we have for